If only they were.
I've never heard anything so funny.
If they were listening to the pre-show.
Gotta get on that pre-show.
Yeah,
pre-show hotness.
Gotta be a Patreon, first of all. Hey, Chris Ashley, how's it going?
It's going very well. Very well. It's been a long summer. It's been a while. It was back in March since I've been on here, but the summer was a bit crazy for me. But you know,
it's been that long, really?
Yeah, I think it was March or something like that. Well, no, sorry, March was by myself, and then
and then we did the bonus show. Yeah,
with the homies. So yeah, man. But you know, everything's everything. That's as we say.
Yeah, man, time is flying. I just realized when I looked at November, I realized I'm gonna have to make a new spreadsheet for the show here because I make a new one every year. I was like, wow, I remember making this spreadsheet and thinking this is gonna be a long year. Here we are, already towards the end.
Best spreadsheet in the business, by the way.
Thank you. You know, the ancestor of this spreadsheet was started by Molly Wood while I was on vacation from Buzz Out Loud, 2007 or 2008, somewhere in there.
Props to her.
We used to just do it all over email before that.
I definitely took a version of it and then started using it. We just got easy and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a virus.
Yeah, it's great.
It's funny. I have copies because I'm a digital hoarder. I have copies of all of those lineups going all the way back.
Wow.
And the early ones are silly. Like it's just a list of links. There's nothing else in there.
I too am a digital hoarder, which is why I need progressively larger hard drives for storage and backup every 2 to 3 years.
We should do a DTNS Labs episode with Joey Image, who is the biggest digital hoarder I know. He has 40 terabytes right now.
Oh,
right?
Whoa.
Wait, is most of that music and video, or is it just like little bits and pieces of his life?
See, that's what we got to talk to him about. It'll be like what's that show where they go and they open storage containers and
Storage Wars.
Yeah, it'll be like digital storage wars.
That show, it's weird. That show is both like it both attracts me, but kind of repulses me at the same time.
Repulses you? Is it the stuff that you find in there, or just the fact that with all
just like the way I know, and it's not for people who've been on. It's just the entire show concept. It seems overly aggressive, but ingratiatingly so for an audience. It's just like no,
right.
You gotta get up in someone's grill over like a bunch of potentially furniture under some moving blankets that you can't pick through yet.
Right.
It's just like making mountains out of molehills. That's what bugs me.
I used to watch the heck out of that show, and then I don't know. I kind of started feeling like, all right, just a little bit.
Now you're just making up stuff to get upset about.
Right.
Speaking of making up stuff to get upset about, are you guys ready to look at the tech news?
Yeah, I'm ready to get upset.
All right, let me see. Let me get my controls.
You got it. You've got it. Sarah, can you do the little pre-roll thing today?
Yeah, sure.
Chris, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's see. Okay, Sarah. 3, 2.
Daily Tech News Show is powered by you. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, All Saints Day, November 1st, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt at DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles.
And from Studio Feline at the beach, I'm Sarah Lane.
And joining us too long since he's been on, Chris Ashley from the SMR podcast is here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. We're going to talk a little augmented reality. Does your reality augmented at all, Chris?
It does.
You're augmenting our reality. Let me just say that right now. Our producer Roger Chang is here as well. How are you, Roger?
I'm good.
Let's start with a few tech things you should know. E-commerce company Rakuten is teaming up with convenience store chain Lawson on quadcopter deliveries in the Odaka district of the city of Minamisoma in Japan. The district is near the Fukushima Daiichi power station, and residents just started returning to their homes in the district last year. The copters will deliver items including hot food to a mobile food van that operates at a community center there.
A law went into effect November 1st. That's today, unless you're in Australia. In Russia, restricting access to banned websites using VPN or other anonymizing technology. VPN providers in Russia will be allowed to operate, but only if they block websites on the banned list, although corporate VPNs are exempt.
Audible's launching 100 romance-themed audiobooks that come with a feature called Take Me to the Good Part. I mean, really, I could just stop right there. You know exactly what it means. But it uses machine learning to find and fast forward to love scenes. Audible's identified 10 types of good parts, including flirty banter, first meeting, first kiss, and of course, one called Hot, Hot, Hot. Audible Romance is a package that gives you unlimited access to romance novels for an extra $7 a month.
Yeah, that's what I read romance novels for. Flirty discussions.
Take me right to the flirty
Love
banter.
that part. That's the best. Facebook reported earnings of $1.59 a share, versus an expected $1.28 a share. So it beat the streets. Revenue grew 47% year over year, beating expectations of 40%. And users continue to grow too in pretty large numbers. The company now has 2.06 billion monthly active users. That's up 3.19% over the last quarter. Daily active users reached 1.37 billion.
Wow. I'm glad that users continuing to grow doesn't mean that they just kept getting bigger, which actually might be true too. Now here are some more tech top stories during U.S. congressional testimony that is ongoing as we are recording this. Facebook said Russian company Internet Research Agency spent $46,000 on advertising during the U.S. election period. That is 1,776 times less than the $81 million spent by the official campaigns of the two major presidential candidates. Facebook also said Russian-based election-oriented campaigns reached 126 million Facebook users. So you got some facts now. Like, they didn't spend a lot compared to the actual campaigns, but they did reach a lot of people. We'll dig into this topic tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. But Chris, I know you've got opinions on this, unrelated to who did what and when, but more about the idea of these companies starting to take control of what you can say on their platforms.
Yeah, there's another side to the whole thing from the people talk about, was just the fact that a lot of the voice that we express on the internet today are through these free platforms. And so once these platforms start to attempt to lock down in order to appease the government, what's just going to start happening to some of the unpopular opinions that go out? So it's just something that I'm watching closely from a different perspective.
Yeah, where's the line? You don't want your voice to be silenced because it accidentally gets crushed next to something that you're like, hey, I understand why you don't want that on there, but
yeah.
You know, because I worry about that too, and it's all a matter of, you know, how they implement these situations and where they implement it, how good they are. As far as Twitter goes, have not seen them be very good at silencing things in my Twitter app, where often things are blocked that I find later somewhere else, and I'm like, why was that even blocked? So
Right.
Well, I have some good news for everybody, especially if you like robotic dogs, because Sony's Aibo, the next generation, we've talked about the fact that it's coming back, but now we have some details. The new Robo Pooch, it's the model number ERS1000, if you prefer to call it by its other name, can move its body along 22 axes, has 2 OLED eye panels to show various expressions, and a 2-hour battery life, although it'll cost you 3 hours to charge Aibo back up. So just like a normal dog, Aibo will be taking lots of naps. Also uses deep learning to analyze sounds and images in a cloud connection to learn from other Aibo's experiences. So the collective owners of Aibo will all make their dog smarter together. The My Aibo app has settings, camera access, some trick downloads, and I'm sure you're wondering what it's going to cost. 190,000 yen, so it's about 1,700 US dollars. Requires a 2,980 yen monthly subscription. That's about 26 bucks, and it will give you LTE access and backups. Available for pre-order in Japan, shipping January 11th, but no word on countries outside of Japan yet.
Man, I wish my actual dogs had some of these. Ability to download tricks and
knowing for sure that you only needed to deal with them for 2 hours before you got 3 hours back.
3-hour nap, boom.
Sleep. No potty issues whatsoever.
Right?
I just think when I saw this story, it was like, okay, your phone, Facebook, Twitter, your browsing history, none of that is enough for them. Now we need your pet to give you information to some kind of back-end server, because it's recording what's going on. Of course,
it's got a camera. Yeah,
it's got a camera. So it won't be long before one of these dogs actually solves crime.
Yeah. No, you gotta secure cloud experiences, right, before people get over the fear of this. On the other hand, though, having that cloud backup and the ability to add some more machine learning. I know there's some on the device itself as well. Is it wrong? Hold on. Is it wrong that I felt guilty for calling it a device just now? I was like, the device. I'm like, oh, but it's a dog. I should call it a device.
No, it's not, Tom. It's not a dog.
It's not a dog, right? It's not.
No.
It's very kawaii, but it's not a dog. All right.
I also feel like it's like, well, depending on how other people treat their Aibos, is that going to make my Aibo like
what if they all
the way that I don't want because it's the collective, ownership?
Yeah, can I cut it off? Because I'm like, no, that's not how I want my Aibo to learn. Fair point. Devices running Android 6.0 and above will get a new feature called Fast Pair. It uses Bluetooth Low Energy and location to automatically discover Fast Pair-enabled Bluetooth accessories nearby and let you connect to them with a tap. Once pairing is successful, you'll be asked if you want to download any companion apps, like those often used for noise-canceling headphones or speakers. Only a few headphones work at launch, but manufacturers can register their Bluetooth devices with Google to be added. So it just makes the normal pairing happen faster without having to dig into the settings, it sounds like, which is pretty cool.
Is this a problem looking to be solved, though? I mean, I'm a Bluetooth nutcase. I have probably a list of 15 devices. And I just never found it to be a big deal how fast you pair, how fast you don't
I never
pair.
found it to be a big deal until I tried out the AirPods. And that ability to just pop in the headphones and not do anything, and it works, switched me from using wired headphones to using Bluetooth headphones. And with so many models getting rid of the headphone jack, that's a big deal.
You can definitely see that.
In the ongoing war against humans versus AI, it's an interesting story coming out of the BBC, reporting on a contest between 100 lawyers, this is in London, against an AI called Case Cruncher Alpha. So the contest, a little bit wonky. Each contestant was given the basic facts of hundreds of payment protection insurance, or PPI, mis-selling cases, and then asked, okay, now predict if the financial ombudsman would allow a claim. The lawyers got 66.3% of the cases right. Case Cruncher, AI, got 86.6% right. Ian Dodd, one of the judges overseeing the competition, says AI could replace junior lawyers and paralegals, just not the folks that actually talk to clients and argue cases. Dodd said, quote, "The knowledge jobs will go, the wisdom jobs will stay." That ought to scare some people.
I feel like this man, maybe he's not the first one to say it, but I feel like this man just basically crystallized the new way of looking things. Because I've been struggling trying to explain the fact that, no, just because you can replace some functions with artificial intelligence doesn't mean we'll get rid of all the jobs. There will be jobs that will need to shift, certainly, but there will also always be jobs that people say, you know what, I just need a human for that. And I've tried to show examples of like, hey, customer service, it used to not be very widespread, but now you have more uses for it. And this is great because it shows like, yeah, remember, knowledge jobs were not very widespread, but once you could automate a lot of the menial jobs, you could expand the number of knowledge jobs available. It sounds a little bit highfalutin, So maybe there needs to be a better word for it, but the wisdom jobs does differentiate it in my mind. Is it too pretentious though, Chris?
I don't think it's too pretentious. I think you're spot on, and that's the fact that how technology helps and hurts things. So you move in jobs here, and then you move them over to the other side. The only thing about this that I'm hoping does not become a problem is we do have a lot of situations where it's not the knowledge and it's not the argument, but it's the heart or the conscience that needs to go into the cases. And so as long as that doesn't get pushed out even further than it is, where you have convictions of folks that are not even guilty, or you have cases that require somebody to look at it in a different sense based on what happened, because that's not going to happen from a machine standpoint. So that's the aspect of it I'm looking at. But if it helps speed up these cases, and these lawyers are fighting injustice, can use this as a means to be able to get it faster and take on more cases, man, let's do it.
The wisdom economy.
It does, though. We always talk about, is AI going to put people out of work, right? And then we use the legal profession as saying, well, this is it's complex. You still need that human element and people arguing cases. But if it's going to keep a bunch of people from going to law school because they think, there's just so much less of an opportunity for me to get in there and work for 10 years really hard before I make partner at some of these more sort of knowledge level jobs, well, then it kind of changes an industry in a different way.
That's an unforeseen implication of it, for sure. My guess would be you'd end up having the legal jobs that require a human would pay so well that you'd still have people clamoring in the right amounts to get into them. But you might have fewer law schools because there might be fewer positions, which means fewer students need to be trained, which means you don't need as many law schools cranking out the degrees. So that's an interesting knock-on effect of that. I do love the idea that we all four of us here are wisdom workers in the wisdom economy. Mm-hmm. And actually, I like what you said, Chris, because heart, it's like, okay, eventually AI gets good enough, down the road to be wise and join the wisdom economy. Then it's the heart. It's the heart that can't really be replaced. And that's the kind of thing that is the guy who makes an artisan chair, or the person that brews their own beer, and you value it because they're really good and they put their heart and soul in it, when you can absolutely go and get an automated chair, but you still might value that.
Right. These are the little nuances that you see will be in the chair, as you described, or in some of these cases that when you hear some of the circumstances around them, it's something I would be hoping that does not get lost in the shuffle. Yeah,
I think this might be my mental map now for where jobs go along with AI. And trust me, there's way more to this, and it doesn't mean that it's roses for everybody. I'm not trying to say that, but I do think this is a good vocabulary to use to think about it. Hey, Amazon's iOS app has a new AR view feature using Apple's AR kit, not unlike IKEA's Place feature. AR view lets you place virtual versions of products in your home, like furniture, toys, obviously Amazon Echoes galore. I'm sure they would love it if you did that. Decor, curtains, all that kind of stuff. Feature requires an iPhone 6S or later. Remember, this is just for iOS at this point, and you have to be running iOS 11. I was shocked how much I liked it. I was ready to roll my eyes, and then I just put a silly chair there, and I'm like, oh, that chair would look really good. Well, hold on. Would it look good over there? I just found myself using it unironically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you. I have this kind of weird area between my kitchen and my living room that a very specific type of console, cupboard thing would maybe work, but it would have to be perfect dimensions, or it'd be, too big or too small or just look weird. And before I tried this out, I've got my measuring tape, and it's like, I think something's going to look good there, but it doesn't always happen that way. But if you can see it right there, it's very helpful. And yeah, as you mentioned, Tom, IKEA has a feature like this. Target's app has a feature like this. So it's not like Amazon is reinventing the wheel or anything, but it sure is cool.
I mean, they show a toaster in the video, and I think that's why I went in there like, I don't need to see the toaster on my counter to decide whether I buy the toaster or not.
Yeah.
But you know, as soon
Not
as
a
I did
great
the furniture,
demonstration.
Yeah, see
Yeah.
how some toilet
Yeah.
paper looks piled up on top of your toilet before you get the toilet paper.
Well, you know, you may not believe this, but at one point in my life, I used to deliver furniture. Now, I
Oh,
know
yeah?
I don't look like I carry furniture, but I promise you I can. And as a guy who has carried 400 or 500 pound desk up 4 or 5 flights of stairs, you know, at first, like you, I looked at this, I was like, who's going to use this? But when I'm like, wait a minute, how many times have I been in a situation where I've got this desk up 5 flights of stairs, get in through the first door, but guess what? We can't get in through the second door, you know? And I'm like, wow, it would save so much backache to bring that desk back down. Or
not to mention the people are like, oh, I need to return it. It doesn't work.
let me tell you. Okay, I
Yeah.
could tell you. But yeah, so definitely a pretty cool aspect. And honestly would like to see that branch out to other retailers as well.
Well, this leads into our main discussion. So let me just remind folks that if you just want the headlines each day, you can keep up on the news and then check in with DTNS when you have time. Daily Tech Headlines, DTH, is available about 5 minutes a day. Subscribe to it, dailytechheadlines.com. You can also get it on the Amazon Echo, in the Anchor app, and through the Anchor app on Google Home. And that's a look at our top stories. Microsoft made the $3,000 enterprise-oriented version of the HoloLens, which means most of us are not going to buy one, available in 29 European markets. That brings the total number of markets it's available in to 39. Microsoft also showed off what some companies are doing with it. Ford's using it in the design process. Tyson Krupp has trialed it with technicians repairing elevators to help them know, how to diagnose the problem. HoloLens is now certified as protective eyewear in North America and Europe. A hard hat accessory for the device is shipping next year. And alongside of this announcement, Google has opened a platform called Poly for sharing digital objects for AR and VR. It integrates with Google's VR apps like Tilt, Brush, and Blocks, but it is an open library. You list your stuff for free, and it can work with AR Core from Google as well as Apple's AR Kit and some other VR platforms. So it's not just tied in to Google. All of this stuff made me think that AR... Yes, okay, Amazon's making me want it in my home, but not for gaming, not for, seeing a dragon walking around on my floor. That's the demo that's impressive. That's not what I'm going to use it for. I could use it in home. I could use it at work. Like the idea that Tyson Krupp is actually putting these on technicians' heads and they're certified as protective eyewear makes me think, well, maybe the future of HoloLens was never the Xbox. Maybe it's actually in the workplace. Or maybe there's a smaller version I could use for practical stuff at home. But what do you guys think?
Definitely like the path that it has grown into. Because I'm an avid gamer. Xbox is sitting right next to me. And I was like, there is no way, as much stuff as I've bought for Xbox and in-game purchases, I'm buying a $3,000 headset for my gaming. But as I started to see some of the use cases, and one of them that was particularly interested and was for when they talked about a elevator shaft repairman who can see the parts that he's replacing right in the elevator shafts to make sure with the instructions and make sure he's doing it right. I was like, man, this could spawn home mechanics. It could spawn, home, electric repairmen. So I really do like how this has evolved into where it is today.
I spent some time earlier looking through Google's new Poly offering. Hate the name, but otherwise, there is a lot of cool stuff in here. There's a boombox. There's, as Tom mentioned, like some monsters and dragons, but also just sort of like a light switch, a jack-o'-lantern, a kitchen cabinet type stuff. And in many cases, it's sort of a Creative Commons thing, right? You just download it, and the credit goes back to the original poster. And it allows companies to, of course, use ARKit and Google's own AR platform to be able to put together a lot of really neat stuff. Now, I'm just not, I'm not much of a gamer myself, and my AR interaction is somewhat limited to like Pokemon Go. But I can already see, okay, if you just had access to really good artwork, 3D stuff that looks great, you zoom in, it's rendered really well, the whole thing's really nice. Think of how many third-party developers can come up with really creative things. as far as HoloLens, it just makes sense that Microsoft is expanding in markets where obviously there are enterprise companies saying, we want this, we're going to buy it, let's put some hard hats on people and get them using it.
I mean, so many people use YouTube as a place to go to learn how to fix something. Imagine if something like Google's Poly was available for folks to create tutorials in AR, and you've got your home HoloLens, or maybe it's the HoloLens you use at work. And when you're home, you're like, ah, crap, I need to fix this dishwasher because, the line is plugged. How do I do that? You pop that thing on and you get walked through it. And you just see where to go, and it asks you like, okay, what do you have available? Do you have a snake, or do you just have a paper towel, holder? And then it's like, okay, here's what you do next. I mean, that's what I think this is going to be useful for first.
I tell you where else I'd like to see it go to is motorcycles. Because one of the things that I've always hated when I had my bike was trying to use it just with the bike. It was next to impossible. Now it's, you can listen to the directions and hopefully, that works a lot better. And they started coming out with some attachments for your helmets that are VR, but man, being able to, have it just in your glasses, so you don't have to necessarily attach it to your helmet, but it's just the glasses that you put on, but then the overlay is there showing you where you need to turn.
Navigation,
speed, so you don't have to look down, because every time you take your eyes off the road, you're in trouble, know? And so being able to just see all that stuff on your HUD, I think would be a pretty dope use case as well.
Yeah, it's funny. It's because we've had Allison Sheridan on the show so often, kind of really pushing the point of what is VR good for? And that's VR, obviously. And we've talked a lot about enterprise level situations and training, but there was something about, particularly like you said, Chris, the elevator repair example, tied with the fact that they've certified this as protective eyewear, that makes me think this is going the traditional route. We forget about this with consumer electronics. Traditionally, high technology stuff goes into industrial or military use first, and then trickles down into the populace once those people start to find other uses for it and say, you know what, this would be cool at home for this or that. Right. And that we may have been looking at this all wrong when we were thinking like, okay, it's good for gaming, but what else can I use it for at home? Maybe we need to start in the enterprise.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I was at CES 2 years ago, last time I was there, I was working for TechCrunch at the time, and we VR, everything was VR headsets, right? It still is.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of bringing the video crew around and trying to interview as many people as possible. And time after time, the demos that we would get, and the excited rep would tell us about mining with, it was all kind of enterprise stuff, which, for a mostly consumer tech website, we'd kind of be like, it's not really, it's like, how do we get like the general public to get super excited about this? But you could already see back then, okay, there are some really interesting implications of what this will do for businesses and companies and assembly lines, and fixing an elevator shaft and stuff where precision is very, very important, and having information kind of right there is, whether it's a headset or some other device, makes a lot of sense.
I just wish this was more accessible. I love the part of Poly where they're like, it's free. This isn't a store. Share your stuff with each other, which is great. But then it's $3,000 for me to get a Microsoft HoloLens, right? And I know those two are different things, but it does feel like in this new world where I'm trying to get used to thinking of Google and Facebook as mainframe companies of the 60s, right? Like big, huge, inaccessible companies, not the scrappy startups that we still kind of think of them as. Right. It doesn't allow the rest of us to have the access to this the way we used to.
Well, I'm glad that they did make that their portion open, because this technology does have potential. And so when you see stuff like this and you see multiple companies working on the same thing, that's when I start to, you're like, okay, guys, please do not come up with 85 different ways to do three things. Hopefully they continue down this path, and there is some collaboration that goes on.
Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit and lets us know what's going on in there. I was very pleased. I just put a little thank you post in for our moderators in there yesterday, and we got upvoted, like skyrocketed to the top, which I was very pleased to see. So big thanks to the moderators who keep it running so smoothly, and to the audience that submits great stories. You can do it too if you haven't already at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, and hop on into our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Messages of the day are pouring in. Sarah, what's our first one?
First one comes from Sharvanchi, who says, this is a good one. From the website comments, can't wait till the movie industry gets a hold of the self-driving cars to choreograph awesome stunt driving scenes like the Matrix Reloaded car chase scenes. You know, at first I was like, oh yeah. And then I was like, well, we can do all of that with CGI.
And remote control. But everybody likes practical effects, right?
Well, so maybe it turns into like the next Fast and Furious movie. Well, I guess they're like ending the franchise, but maybe the franchise won't end now because they'll be like, now we're going to do a real Fast and Furious. This is all real stunts.
Fast
like, no
nines of uptime in our automated cars.
Yeah, like somehow it's like it's like we're getting back to our roots of car collisions because of autonomous vehicles. I don't know. I'd watch that.
It's a simple ending to the movie. The cars are driving away. The police are chasing them. They pull them over, and they're self-driving cars.
There's nobody inside. How did they get out? No, I think you're right. You just wrote the ending to Fast 9 or whatever they call it.
Right.
Carl writes, when it comes to big rigs and jobs, according to trucking.org, the labor shortfall for drivers will mean a need to hire an estimated 89,000 drivers a year, and that's no small feat. I don't think anyone will lose a job to a self-driving truck. Between retirements and human drivers doing the jobs that automated trucks cannot, as well as an overall limit to how many self-driving trucks will be added to the North American fleet per year, which is estimated to be about 40,000 trucks sold in 2016, according to Statista, increases in the need to have human overwatch, maintenance, and the like. It seems to me that while truck driving is a job on the decline, those who remain as drivers will simply be the best at it. Plus the amount of trucks that run on closed environments like mine sites, dockyards, warehouse centers. Many companies might start using self-driving cars in these places where the only law is their own insurance.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it was interesting research that he had done there and some numbers that he had dug up. And you may have other numbers out there, but his proposition is we can't hire enough drivers right now. So maybe the ones that want to stick around driving will be valuable enough that they'll stay, because it's not like tomorrow all the trucks become self-driving. It's going to phase in slowly.
If I wasn't in the software industry, I would definitely be driving a truck. Something that's always has always been on the back of my mind, to get a CDL and be a truck driver. I don't know why.
Is it a romantic notion?
No, it's not that. It's just I got a couple of buddies that are truck drivers, and like I said, I used to deliver furniture, so I've driven 26-footers. So the natural progression would be.
So you're like, I could do it. Yeah,
gotcha. I could do it, and you make good money. So
yeah. Well, thank you to all the truck drivers out there, because I know there's a few of you that listen, for keeping our stuff moving around on the roads out there. And thank you, Chris Ashley, smrpodcast.com. You got to check out Rob, and Chris. They have a lot of fun talking about technology, or as their saying goes, debamifying tech for the masses. Things are going well?
Yeah, things are going well. We've had a pretty good couple of weeks where all of us were in, but when it's just two of us in there, the show still runs well, and we still have a great time. And picking up new fans all the time.
Go subscribe, folks. smrpodcast.com. And thanks to everybody. It's Patreon Day. Today's the day we get paid, Sarah.
Yay!
Patreon.com/DTNS is full of the people who make this show possible. We have, at this reckoning, one more subscriber than last month. Hooray!
We did it!
We'd like to keep that momentum going, though, because we'd like to do more of the roundtable shows. We've got some good feedback from folks, feedback to improve it, but that they really liked it, and we'd like to do more of those, and that's our next milestone if we can just get there. So if you can spare $1, support the show at patreon.com/DTNS.
We also love getting feedback from you. We try to add as much feedback we can to every show, but we read everything otherwise, or we listen. There are lots of different ways you can talk to us. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We are live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. And if you want to follow along live, please do. alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And of course, our website is dailytechnewsshow.com.
Back tomorrow with Justin, Robert Young, and Paul Spain. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Nailed it.
Oh, man. Always a time.
That was a good time. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, you don't have to thank me. Thank you.
What are we going to call this show?
Oh,
Take me to the good stuff. It's not a dog.
That's kind of it, isn't it?
The AI Board Collective, Trickle Down Electronics, LTE Dogs.
You skipped Roger is good.
The Rogers. That's a known fact. It's a fact. It's not even
You don't
opinion
need
at
to
this
say
point. I mean, I always feel good, but that's different. 404 Trick Not Found, Canine AI Collective, Fast Pair quickly made Tom a believer. Romance Calls and Audible. Amazon VR shocks Tom. Fix it with duct tape. I think duct tape
another
has
good
it.
one.
Yeah. Are you ready to spend more time at Amazon? Excuse me. A dog could be two things. You know, if Aibo could stand on its legs and deliver me like a soda or something while I'm binge watching Netflix, that would be kind of cool.
That would be awesome.
I'd imagine a future Aibo. I mean, there's no reason it couldn't.
Like, you know, your parents are at the door. Like, it's just like
You
a
might have
little
to set up a
robot.
special fridge for it, though. I don't know if it could open your regular refrigerator door.
Then you start getting ads for your favorite soda. Flipping out.
And
It automatically reorders it from Amazon.
Exactly.
Fast
And then
Pair-
Amazon comes and puts it in your fridge for you with Amazon Key.
The circle is complete.
Yeah.
Why don't they just build a little wormhole into your fridge or, you know, your basement, and then they could just deliver things? So it'll be kind of a quantum pneumatic tube. No delivery, you know, no delivery fee.
An Einstein-Rosen bridge to deliver
Eh.
your soda.
Having your own refrigerator is so old fashioned. Fix it with duct tape. So anything tickles thy fancy?
I like the duct tape one you said.
Duct tape. Oh wait, where'd it go? Oh, fix it with duct tape.
Yeah.
They spelled it D-U-C-K too. Nice job, JPEG.
I'll vote for that one.
I like Take Me to the Good Stuff.
Take me. You know, it'd be really cool if they could do the AR glasses, but then they integrate like a dating like app with it. So if you're really bad at like dates and stuff, it tells you all the things you should be saying at the appropriate moments.
So it'd
Like
be,
if
it's Cyrano de Bergerac app is what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Like it's like you should say this now. No.
Well, this is actually kind of partially the plot of After On. I don't want to say too much and spoil it, but there is a very similar product / situation going on. But
Because
it's creepier than what you're talking about.
Well, I figure since Japan is the home of the dating sim, and I use simulation very in a non-pejorative sense. Why not integrate with AR glasses? I'm sure it would freak a lot of people out, but hey, it's like, oh, you should talk about the weather right now.
Sarah, I need you to break the tie.
I'm sorry. What were my options again?
Duct
Take me
tape
to the good.
Wait.
or Take Me to the Good Stuff.
Just do it again. Two people were talking. Tell me again.
Fix it with duct tape, or take me to the good stuff.
What were we fixing with duct tape?
Everything. The elevators.
You put your VR glasses on and you
Mostly
fix
the
elevator with duct
elevators.
tape.
Okay. I choose the romance novel.
All right.
Okay.
Could you imagine you put on these $3,000 glasses and you go to the elevator and the first instruction is to grab duct tape?
Put duct tape here. I think that's what they were joking about in the chat room. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
props to them.
AR glasses. You know what they could be used for? So in a situation where an EMT or any kind of medically trained person isn't available, you could help someone who's in a medical emergency. It'll give you like, you wear it and it can kind of like figure out, oh, the person is having an epileptic fit. This is what you need to do. Or this person's cardiac arrest, grab the defibrillator, do this.
Mm-hmm. Place it here, press the button, wait.
Yeah,
there's certain things that it wouldn't be able to do, but yeah.
Oh yeah, keep the glasses right next to the defibrillator.
Yeah, well, it will be right there. You break it, you wear it, and so and
then you grab the defibrillator and it tells you exactly how to use it. Man,
that good Samaritan law becomes real important then.
It keeps yelling at you, dial 911, dial 911, dial 911.
You don't look like you know what you're doing. Please stop and dial 911.
Ooh, child rearing. Let's see. Chastise child for not living up to expectations.
Do you need AR for that?
I don't know.
You're a dad.
Yeah. Well, see, you know what? I'm wondering if that's like the Dr. Spock, not Mr.
Spock. You mean Lieutenant Spock?
Well, the guy who wrote the child rearing book.
Oh, okay, Dr. Spock. Yeah,
Dr. Spock, telling you like, do this, do that, do this.
Tesla reports biggest ever quarterly loss.
Oh, wow.
No!
Are you getting one, Tom?
A Tesla?
Yeah.
No. Sorry. I didn't mean to appear so shocked.
No, not remotely, unless they win the lottery.
Yeah, Rod just bought one.
I made rice and frozen shrimp for lunch today so that I can afford an iPhone 10.
I got you. I haven't even driven it yet. I can't.
No, I mean they're nice. I just think I don't. Maybe I'm just too cheap, but I would never spend $40,000 on a car.
You are my kind of person.
Cheap.
Because I the thing is, I have a very hard time spending money on a new car because it depreciates 13% as soon as the wheel rolls off the lot, right? And so you're taking that hit. I would not. I would totally buy a newer used car that maybe just came off a lease or only has like 10 or 15,000 miles on it, but not a brand new shiny out of the factory car.
What's your advice?
I drive a 2002 Prius. Okay, it's a 15-year-old car.
You bought it new or you bought it used?
I bought it 2 years old. I bought it used.
Okay. All right, I got you. What's your advice? What do you buy that you don't care about the money? If you have one.
I mean, I would say electronics, but I kind of buy them for this, right? Like I have a legitimate reason to get them. I don't know.
I would have said
economy plus upgrades on airplanes. I need that leg room. I don't care how much.
That leg room. That's it.
It's hard to spend on vices though when you have a kid.
Yeah.
It's just like I used to splurge on comic books, but now I have too many and they weigh so much that they cost a lot to move. So, and they've gone digital. But no, I just got to save the money for the kid because you don't know what's going to happen in the near or distant future.
Yeah, I'm still electronics, but I do want a Tesla myself, so I'm slowly putting money away.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I do need to get a new car. There's no doubt about that. Because this one is not going. I gotta get rid of this one before the drive battery goes again. I've replaced it once, and it's not cheap. And it's just old, right? So the thing is, it's just so cheap to maintain.
It's so predictable. You know, my car, the steering rack leaks. To replace it, to get like a reconditioned steering rack would be like $800 to $1,200, not including labor to put it in. All I just do is keep like a quart of transmission fluid and top it off every like 8 months. And I'm set. Like there's so much. I know all the issues. I know all the problems with my cars and I know pretty much how to deal with it on a regular basis to avoid having to really pay out of pocket.
Is it paid off, Roger?
Oh yeah, that's why I keep it
Oh,
around.
well, that's well, as long as I always said when I just paid off my wife's car this January, and I said as long as the repairs are cheaper than her car payments, we're good. Once they cross over, then now we got to talk.
Yeah,
that's
like,
my problem there.
And there's certain things that I know like for example, I had the struts. I had to replace all the struts because it's like they were due at 75. Actually, they were due at 48, but I ran them up to 75,000 miles. I replaced them all, and that was like $1,600. But it's like you need to replace them. Tires, you need to replace them every 6 years, 5 to 6 years.
And it's still cheaper than buying a brand, not brand new.
Yeah, and in my cars, I mean, it's a Toyota, so it's like super reliable, so I never have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
See, I know that some people don't believe in leasing, but my cars just never get old. Just replace them, and then
I love the old part because my insurance rates go down after so many years. Except till I moved to Glendale, then they went up.
I mean, it's not a perfect system. But it's like where I'm like, replace the tires every 6 years. Am I not doing that? Oh, wait, I never have a car for 6 years.
Yeah, I definitely wish I could get my mindset to that point because, people who lease usually just say, I just know this is a bill I'm going to have forever. I'm going to keep my payments in this range, and that's it.
Again.
But, I'm also a house renter and very poor. So this is the choice
and that's the thing, right? Like I used to pay off a car and when I was paying off a car, a lease made sense. But then I think it was around the time I started working at CNET, I was like, I have enough money. I don't really need, if I buy a used car, I don't need to pay it off, or at least not pay it off more than a year. I can pay it off really fast. Then I don't have car payments. And then I look at a lease and I'm like, I don't want to have payments all the time. But you have to be in a position where you can get that, even a used car paid off quickly.
Right.
Well, and be prepared to have to deal with issues that happen with used cars.
The maintenance and no, absolutely.
That stuff happens too. The last car that I owned and did pay off was an Audi. Wasn't it Audi? No, not an Audi. A Saab. And it's been so long now. I loved that car. However, the parts were so incredibly expensive, and that's like when Saab was still in business.
Yeah,
it became a bit of a money pit over the course of a couple of years, where I was like, "How could I have known?" It just happened.
My parents went through two. Well, originally my dad had a Volkswagen and then a Volvo, and it really kind of kept me away from buying a European car. Not because they're bad, but because they really charge you through the nose for every single part.
Yeah, growing up,
even though they're not any more expensive to make the same part for a Toyota, because it's European, they put 15% surcharge on it, and it's just like you just get tired of being taken to the cleaners.
I remember Mama complaining about her repairs on her Volvo. Yeah, all of her Volvos. She had 3 of them.
And then I hate to say it, but a Toyota is generic enough that parts are you go to rockauto.com or whatever and buy it there. I literally will drive my car into the ground. I probably will drive it to the ground.
Well, now that I basically don't drive, when I moved to LA, I had my lease had ended when I still lived in San Francisco with a car that I really liked. But, lease was up and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start walking around, or taking Muni or something. And when I moved to LA, I was like, gotta have a car, which I did at first. And my situation has changed now where it's like, I'm more or less working from home and I live in a part of town where I can walk lots of places. And I could take an Uber here and there if I really needed to go to Target or, that sort of thing where you have a lot of stuff. But it's nice to have a car, but it's like, I'm almost 2 years into a 3-year lease and I feel like I'm in prison. There's definitely that feeling of because it's really hard to get out of a lease early. If I just decided, I don't want to do this anymore, So that's the trade-off too.
My prison is marriage and fatherhood.
Oh, Roger.
That's just the average prison. Everybody knows that prison.
It's so funny how it's not even funny. It's amazing because I used to have a per month spend that I would spend out, and I just watched it go. It's like all right, but I like it.
Turns out your daughter needs to eat.
Yeah. Well, all the shots in the school, all the things to turn them into a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, kids don't need shots.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
Oh my.
I'm gonna get into it. I actually don't have kids. What do I know?
Yeah.
I believe whatever you do
talking
is
about
right.
we're talking about medicine, not tequila.
Oh, in that case, never mind. I have no.
No, those shots are for
Kids shouldn't do shots. That's awful.
Well, unless they're being fussy.
Yeah. Little
You know?
cream
Rub
de
a
mint
little
on the
bit-
gums always
little-
kept me.
That old school.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that what they used to do back in
Yeah.
the old days?
Oh, I think they're still doing it.
Like back in 1977 in the Merritt household.
Oh, is Tom making a fuss? Liquor him up.
Little cream de mint.
I don't know if that ever happened in the Lane household, but I wouldn't put money against it.
It wasn't to quiet us down. It was when we lost a tooth. When we lost
Yeah.
a tooth, they would rub cream. My dad would rub cream de mint on the gums.
Did your dad try to yank out your teeth, or did they just
Oh,
fall
yeah.
out naturally?
Yeah, no, it tied
My-
string to the door.
My dad was very,
I thought
very
that was a
adamant.
wives' tale.
Oh no, it's a my dad's tale.
Why
No,
would
no.
isn't that like really traumatic?
I'm fine, Sarah.
I don't know.
It's
That
funny because
used to
my
be
dad insisted.
when kids' teeth would get loose, that used to be a thing you'd hear is like, Tommy's dad, tied a string to the door and slammed it shut and and everyone would go, oh God,
And you're like, hi, I'm Tom.
abuse.
Actually, my daughter asked me about that 2 nights ago.
Uh-huh.
If it worked, and I was like, oh, it definitely works. So
Yeah.
it still
It
must
worked.
still be going on because I've never said that to her, but she definitely
Worked
brought
for
it up to me.
most of my teeth except one, which had a really long root, so the dentist had to pull it out with dental.
My dad
pliers.
used pliers on one of mine too.
Savages. What's wrong with your family?
It's fine. It's fine. Little cream de mint fixed it right up.
It's funny. I now can't remember how any of my teeth came out.
It's because of the whiskey.
I was very drunk. Those 7 years of new teeth. Well, I did. It's fun. Speaking of like weird teeth stuff, I had 6 wisdom teeth instead of 4. It's actually not that uncommon. So it was like 2 up on each side and then just 1 on the bottom. And when they came out, when I had to get wisdom teeth out, age 18 or whatever, they only got 5 out. And they were like, you know what? That 6th one is so far up there. We're just going to leave it. It's never going to be a problem. Well, it was many years later, well into my 30s. And I had to get it like taken out. And that had to happen at a dentist, like, with dental pliers or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was all numbed up and everything. It didn't hurt, but it was still not fun, You don't want things ripped out of your face.
That's
No.
Just
words to
don't want,
live
that's
by.
not fun for anybody.
You don't want things ripped out of your face.
You don't. No. And then afterwards they were like, want to keep it? And I'm like, no.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Do it again.
I used to have all my teeth. I even had the ones they put
I don't have any of my baby.
crowns on, or caps on, so you would have like the silver cap on it and then the tooth underneath.
You make a necklace out of it and pretend that you were in some jungle somewhere.
Like a shark tooth. Yeah.
I thought you could
Have a
take it
shark
somewhere
tooth in your
if you
wisdom
wanted.
teeth, like next to him. All right. Well, thanks for watching Dental today, and we'll be back tomorrow.
It's like, if you really want to like get to know us, stay for the post show.
Oh my yes. We'll see you tomorrow with Justin Robert Young and Paul Spain. Goodbye.